Oh, hey, everybody. How'd you all get into my room? It's Adam Rank here on Monday for Mock Draft Monday. I go out there, I make a mock draft. Stephanie Smalls comes in, she makes fun of it. The concept, simple enough. So, you know what? I'm not even going to wait. Normally, I would build up, I would have some egregious, I would
I
have
don't even
some.
get a build up anymore. This is like it
No,
kind of
no,
hurts.
no. Listen, it's not. What I meant was, is I would normally rant about something,
Yeah.
be it David Montgomery not even being a
Mm,
top 30 running back
mm,
according to Madden or whatever it is. For
right.
you though, there is a huge buildup in anticipation because as I'm sitting here clout chasing and bringing you in, I won't even let you go to Florida and let you off the hook without
No.
browbeating you into coming onto the show and being a part of the festivities.
Yeah.
But of course, everybody who is tuning in right now is probably not tuning in for me. They're tuning in for Stephanie Smalls, one of the biggest names in fantasy football, one of the brightest minds in fantasy football, the Dr. Britt Baker of fantasy
Right.
football. You don't
Yeah.
understand the reference, but it's very complimentary. Actually, I will
Hmm.
tell you, Dr. Britt Baker is a professional wrestler. No, listen, it gets better. She's a legitimate dentist. No, she's a dentist. And
A
she's very smart.
dentist. So she's a
She's a
fake doctor a little bit.
DMD. Oh my gosh, don't say that.
As
We're
someone
here.
who dropped out of medical school, I feel like I'm allowed to say that.
That is not. No, you're not allowed to say that.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
I'm a little
I'll allow it.
offended. Britt
Dr. Britt.
Baker, I like to pretend that we're friends. So if you could be cool, that would be all right. Because
I'll
she is
allow it.
acts, but she is. It's funny. She has become one of the top performers in professional wrestling over a short period of time.
Mhm.
She's still a doctor though. She didn't quit medical school, but she's still, the medical background. It kind of checks out. Actually, somebody on Twitter made that
I'm gonna have
connection
to
at some
look it
point.
up for sure.
Yeah, she's awesome. So you'll love it. Anyways, it's Monday. How are you, by the way? Everything good on the
I'm
Monday?
good. It's like really hot in Florida.
Yeah, shocker. Like, oh my
It's
God, you went to Florida in
humid.
August.
I just
Oh my.
wanted, I know. Well, my friend has a pool, so it's fine. I was by the pool. That's why my hair was a mess, and we took a little bit longer to get on than normal. Well,
Normally, yeah, we
yeah, yeah. Your child
45.
also had a tantrum, so it was like
My
kind of a in
child,
between.
and I could have taken him to daycare today,
Mhm.
but I saw one of my another dad had his son, and I'm like, well, you know what? I don't want you to be feel left out. I don't want to, I'll commiserate with you. So I kept my son out of daycare.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It turned out to something. I don't know. When we go to we're at the Trader Joe's Plaza having lunch and everything. I'm like, do we look like a
Mhm.
couple or we just look like a couple of dads who are out with their kids? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it was a fun scene. What might not be a fun scene though is this mock draft. And why don't I just
Yeah.
pull that up real quick? Oh, geez. Already.
This is a
You're
more
ready.
brutal one. Yeah.
This is a more brutal one. I thought
Not
this one was.
brutal. Okay, well, we'll get
I
there. We'll get there.
I thought this was one where I thought, where I was trying to appease the marks a little bit
There's a lot to
and go,
like for sure, but I picked up on some things about you from this.
that I
Like
do.
after
Yeah,
doing a couple, I'm noticing
I
that you
know.
have a couple, there's things that you do that maybe we can work on in the future.
I really, you know what? I really try to mix it up a little bit and try to do something a little bit different. This time, I brought in Dalvin Cook, and I believe I
Hmm.
can't remember if I was 103 or 104. Actually, I do believe I was 104, and I was very
Okay.
fortunate to land Dalvin Cook. So I was very happy with that. AJ Brown, Keenan Allen. I did not have an opportunity to take Allen Robinson in the third. Daryl Henderson in the fourth. I know we'll talk about him. Deontay John. I can already see. I already know by going back. It's like when you're looking back at your golf scorecard, and you're like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
like the fifth hole is where it kind of. All right, took a double bogey there. But Kyle
Right.
Pitts is interesting. We'll talk about him. Javante Williams. There goes my rookie run in the middle, round 6 and 7. James Conner. James Conner breaks up the run on rookies. Jalen Waddle, Marvin Jones, Joe Burrow. If for nothing else, I just didn't want to go with Matthew Stafford again. I think was my number one thing. So we could have
That's
another
fair.
quarterback. So we could have another quarterback to talk about. We've talked about Matthew Stafford. We've talked about Ryan Tannehill
Hmm.
during the series. Kenneth Gainwell is a rookie that I kind of like. Terrace
Hmm.
Marshall
I like him
Jr. is
too.
another rookie I really like. Johnu Smith. I think I'm speaking your language right now. and Sterling Shepard. This is the
I
this is
know
the
you
part
got
of the,
me there.
I
Like there is
know.
a
This
lot.
is
You were pulling at the love strings there at the end. I was
I
very happy.
was I didn't want you to completely hate me. So
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
okay.
that's what I did. But let's go right up to the top, and we'll start off with Dalvin Cook. 1.04. I don't think that anybody, in a lot of drafts,
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook goes off the board second overall. This was, by the way, a half point PPR league. This wasn't a full point PPR, which is why
Okay.
somebody probably felt a little bit more comfortable going with Derrick Henry. Dalvin Cook, though, there's no reason for concern at all with
No.
this pick. Like lock, stock, no worries.
Mm-mm. No. It's fine. It's great. Love that. There's really nothing wrong with Dalvin Cook at any point in the first round. The later you get him, I feel like you're just getting better value. So it's fine.
Okay, so a better value there. Then coming back around, you had an exchange with somebody on Twitter who was like, "Oh, dude, I always go running back. Sometimes 3 running backs. Like I don't even do what this clown's doing, and I never
Did you
lose."
see him? Like I
Yeah, I
was
saw
like,
it.
listen, well, I also
Very
muted
aggressive.
that person because it was like just a little much.
Yeah,
I just wasn't loving that energy that we were putting out into the universe there.
a lot
Like
of
I take tight end sometime in the first 3 rounds. That wouldn't be a totally crazy thing to do. But apparently that's very wrong by his standards.
yeah. It really puts you into a situation where you can't read the board. I believe
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't last week, it might have been a couple of weeks ago, where there was a draft. It might have been last week where running backs were 9 of the first 10 picks, and you would
Yeah,
be insane to not start digging into the wide receivers,
absolutely.
after that point. And I know Berlissimo's coming in here. Listen, we'll get to the rest of the running backs at some point. Dalvin Cook, though, is so solid that it allows me to go out there and take a lot of risks, not only at the running back position, but to actually build on and build out a pretty nice wide receiver room. And so in the
Mm-hmm.
second round, I got AJ Brown,
Love
and
it.
I will tell you. So how are you? Are you a big AJ Brown person? Because let me just tell you real
Yes.
quick before we get too deep into that.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins was gone. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf was gone. I
Mm-hmm.
took AJ Brown over Justin Jefferson and Allen
Okay.
Robinson. I thought I was going to get Allen Robinson coming back, but unfortunately that didn't quite work out for me. So AJ Brown over Justin Jefferson, Allen Robinson. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I probably would have went Justin Jefferson, like just from what, like probably in this scenario. But also, you have to remember that these drafts are like happening a little bit like a while ago too. So
Mhm.
this is before the Julio trade as well, correct? Probably.
No, actually, you know what?
No.
The Julio, the thing is, the
Not that I think
Julio,
it affects it that much. Most people do.
yeah.
I do not. I don't think it changes. I think it just keeps their longevity more than anything.
Yeah, I think it actually pushes them to throw the ball a little bit more than
Yeah.
they would have done in the past. In addition to that, Jonnu Smith had how many touchdowns last year? 8, 10? What was it? Like, a
I mean,
significant
he
number.
finished tight end 15, and people just forget that happened. It's like
Yeah.
he stinks. He doesn't stink. Like Ingram finished tight end 14. He doesn't stink. He's like they're the same person. Relax.
Yeah. And the thing, too, is Jonnu caught a lot of touchdowns. And I believe that that's something that Julio can come in and do this season. That has always been the biggest knock on Julio's career is that he doesn't catch enough touchdowns. If he comes in and replicates the production that Jonnu Smith gave you, because you remember Jonnu and Corey Davis are gone, and you're replacing them with Julio and Josh Reynolds. And I know they made a pick. Their pick wasn't bad either. The rookie that they've got in the slot behind
Who
Josh
did they
Reynolds.
take?
Who was there? They
I
got
don't
their slot
remember.
receiver.
I
Okay,
can't
let me
remember
make
it. Isn't that bad?
Phil,
I can't.
real quick, while I look up the Titans depth chart.
Why can't I think of it? Oh my god.
So this
But
is
I think
no,
that I
it's
think
Des Fitzpatrick.
that's right. He's not bad. Yeah, I agree. But I think everything about the Titans and Tannehill has only gotten better, especially the past 2 years. I mean, everything about his points per game, the amount of touchdowns he throws, like he can support this cast. There's no reason to be nervous that someone's going to eat up each other's targets. All you're doing is taking Jonnu out of the situation, taking the other, like you're taking people out of the situation, putting Julio in, and then just add an upside there because I think that they can just. Yeah. I think this team is going to go off. If it wasn't for their defense, I think we'd have the Titans in a bigger conversation.
No, absolutely, and they were I think they attempted the fourth fewest passes last season. If they regress to the mean a little bit, if they get in, even if they're like the 10th fewest, that's a significant upgrade that will support guys like AJ Brown and Julio Jones. I honestly, and again, I've said this plenty of times and I get roasted for it every time because people are always so quick to look backwards instead of trying to project forward. And this is the funniest thing too, is that when you look at Julio's first 2 years in the league compared to AJ Brown, they're nearly identical statistically. So to me, this is a big year 3. And we look at those year 3 wide receivers that make a leap, and having Julio on the field is actually beneficial to AJ Brown. Like it was different when you had Corey Davis and Jonnu out there. You're like, yeah, whatever. Like we don't have to worry about those guys too much. Julio, regardless of his age or what you think of him, that he's on the other side of his career, whatever, defensive coordinators do not feel that way. So that is going to open things up for AJ Brown. And I wish people would be a little bit more forward thinking. And you know what? And this is one of the things I want to know about Minnesota as well, is if Minnesota has apparently one of the best rosters in football, if their defense has been significantly upgraded, old man Zimmer is not going to want to throw the ball as much as he did last year. So I don't think that Justin Jefferson's a bad player by any stretch, but if there's somebody who could possibly regress, so that's just me.
And I think that people, like one of the wide receivers that gets overlooked for some reason every year of his career, despite how well he does, is Adam Thielen. Like Adam Thielen's not gone. He is like a fantastic wide receiver, consistently scores points. Like you can't get consistency the way you do out of a player like Adam Thielen. Like you get everything you want year after year after year, but for some reason he just gets faded. I also am noticing, this is my first time in the offseason on Twitter, and people are starting to lose it now. Like, I don't know what is going on. Like, these past couple of weeks, but people are losing their minds. Like, it's starting to scare me a little bit. And Thielen's someone that is getting, like, totally faded. I was looking at ADP today, and I was shocked by wide receiver ADP. Like, some of the guys that are going very early, and you're putting all your eggs in a lot of baskets, like Fitzmagic and some other guys, and then forgetting that Dak is coming back. So it's very interesting to see this all play out.
Right. Yeah, Dak is coming back. Is he throwing again? Did he finally?
He not quite yet. I think he was throwing some passes, but they're taking it easy. I think he just didn't. I think they overstated how well he was doing this off season, and I think he came back and they were overdoing it with him. So he strained his arm because he hasn't been throwing it the way that he's used to throwing it, and he can't keep up at that level because he's still not. They should have eased him in a little bit better.
Yeah, and
I don't think that's his fault.
No, not his fault. But I'm still like somewhat concerned. By the way, Berlissimo, be nice to Heidi. Berlissimo is a nice chap, but
he is. He's always
Heidi
in
is
here.
too. Like, yeah, so he is, and Heidi, and I don't want them to fight with each other. I don't want to have to separate them. It's a Vikings fan and a Bears fan. I don't want to have to separate them if I don't have to, which is okay. So the AJ Brown pick. Okay, listen. If somebody would, if somebody's sitting here and what you're saying, if somebody wanted to go with Justin Jefferson, even Allen Robinson, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm like, okay, like that's a fair pick. Coming back around, I got Keenan Allen.
Beautiful,
and I love the Keenan Allen pick. I took him
over. Great
over.
Value there too.
Michael Thomas was the following receiver, and then Terry McLaurin and Kenny Golladay. So I'm like, okay, if those are the receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio, CeeDee Lamb. Those are the 4th round guys. DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. Wait, hold on. No, went after Amari Cooper. But yeah. So Keenan, again, when you want to talk about players who do not get enough respect and has a fantastic quarterback, I don't know. Keenan Allen in the 3rd round just seems goofy to me. I guess there's only so many players that can go in the first 2 rounds. But there were some. I guess I can go back. There were some people.
It's interesting because I was looking. I know it's point PPR, but I was doing this on the plane, so I was looking at full point PPR, but it honestly
That's
doesn't
fine.
like it alter that much. But AJ Brown was the 24th player off the board, and Keenan Allen was the 27th right now. So I feel like you got really good value for Keenan Allen.
Bad value, overpaid for AJ Brown, but use that savings to take
Exactly.
Keenan Allen. That's fine. That's fair.
I think it's good.
Let me ask you a question though. Would you? I know how you feel about DK Metcalf. Would you rather have Keenan Allen or DK Metcalf?
Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
9 redraft. I'm done with DK Metcalf and I are done. Like I have
guys are broken up.
We're done. I sold him in Dynasty at the end of the season. I will not draft him in redraft anymore. I'm done. We're broken up. I think he can be people's redraft king. I'm all about it. But I don't like when secondaries start figuring players out, and I can't do like no one can convince me to draft a player as like the 5th wide receiver off the board, and then for him to have weeks, like several weeks of just 3 points. Like that's not gonna, like I can't do it. I'm just not in on it. Sorry, bro. Like I'd rather have Julio Jones, honestly. Like maybe get a little inconsistency with him on the bench, but I can handle the bench. It's so annoying when he's on the field and he gets 3 points. Like I really can't handle that.
Yeah, and he was. I believe that you even tweeted it out one time that he was on some video. I think it was with Brandon Marshall talking about like our offense was so predictable that they were able to take me away. And you're like, yeah, this is why we don't draft you.
Exactly. The second that secondary start figuring out players, I get so sketched out. It was like the Rams, the Cardinals, Washington, and the Giants. Every time he played those teams, it was like he got 3 to 5 points.
That's
it
true.
Was crazy. And if you go back and look, like it's very consistent. Like with just those teams, the Rams and the Cardinals, both times they played, he got like 3 to 5 points. So I'm just not in on it. I'd rather take a risk on like CeeDee Lamb at that point.
Yeah.
Than, like,
well, he's going.
Metcalf.
He went in the 2nd round. Like it's crazy. He went before Justin Jefferson. Like I'm not trying to disparage Justin Jefferson. That wasn't my intention. I just liked AJ Brown better. But it's like I would have taken both those. I would have taken AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, and Allen Robinson over DK Metcalf without even thinking about it. Because I'm with you. I think I love DK Metcalf. Like I think he's a tremendous talent.
Oh yeah.
I just don't like the offense is ridiculous. It's not good.
Stupid.
It's like I don't know that we've done this because I did do a super flex league. I don't know that we talked about it where I had Russell Wilson. Even as my super flex quarterback, I still don't feel great about it. And that's the way I feel about the Seahawks offense. The 49ers are completely healthy and back. The Rams, I think, are one of the best teams in the NFC. That's 4 games right there where you're already sweating what's going on with DK Metcalf. And so I'm just not, I don't know. I'm sorry, DK.
I'm not buying it. So I really do think like, I'm not sure. I think the Steelers might pull it together a little bit this year, but I always say like, there's a couple of these teams that we've seen for years, a decade now, be like just front runners every year. They're going to the playoffs. The Seahawks are on the decline. And I really feel strongly about that. I think that they're not. I think that this is going to be the year we're going to notice them. And you know what game it was when they played the Giants and McCoy was in? I could see it. It was like there was so much dysfunction there that I'm telling you, this is going to be the year we're going to start seeing things crumble a little bit. And I feel bad for Metcalf because he's such a good talent, but I think the team over there, it's sketchy. It just sketches me out.
It is. You know what's funny is it's one of those things because there's always that one playoff team, as you said, that falls off. And they look like the most likely candidate. And Russell Wilson has already tried to get out of town. Whether, he's playing the good guy right now and will play this season. I think the Seahawks ultimately told him, like, look, you're playing here in 2021. So just get used to it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a situation, and I don't know what the draft picks would be like in what they've got going on.
Yeah. Well, they're screwed,
Houston.
right? Because of that one, aren't they?
Yeah.
For a
I'm
little
trying
bit?
to think like who's going to need a quarterback next year? Like a team like Houston, who could be like, all right, we'll trade you. Maybe they'll trade him Deshaun Watson straight up for Russell Wilson or whatever.
I don't think Russell will go there. He's kind of a brat, right?
Yeah, he could be. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Russell, but he did have his. Well, he's not going. Like the thing is like you're not going to New Orleans. Like all these quarterbacks, unless you're a free agent, if you're an NFC quarterback, you're not getting traded to New Orleans. So you might as well take that team off your list. So I think it does hurt. Yeah,
Stop asking.
It hurts. The Colts. Oh, Berlissimo's right. Yeah. By the way, Berlissimo and Heidi, they're best friends now. So okay, sorry.
Okay, good.
Sorry,
I'm glad because I don't have to chat up.
Oh no, we don't have to. Okay, good. Yeah, don't get distracted like I do. But no, but it's one of those things that perhaps, Russell Wilson ends up in Indianapolis next year. That's a pretty good call. They should do that now. But in any event, it could see Seattle. I'm passing on DK Metcalf. Stephanie's passing on DK. DK Metcalf he's sending you messages on Instagram and sees that the green button that says that you're active is up and you're still not responding to him. So now he's going to start getting a little weird and he'll be like, what's going on?
I think he's the next one to demand a trade when he can. I could see him wanting to get out of there because I think the Seahawks, I'm telling you, they're on this, I don't know, people love stocks and stuff. The stocks are going down.
Yeah, the stock is going down. And it is one of those things that if the Seahawks ever wanted to rebuild, the two biggest pieces they could move would be would be Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Just get them out of there.
They could rebuild that way at least and then get rid of the, we talked about on my show. This is why Aaron Rodgers, he didn't want to, Russell wanted to leave because all he hears is him chewing in his ear.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's just constant. And Pete Carroll, well, that's the problem. Like Pete Carroll's 90, so it's not like he can go into rebuild mode. You can't go into rebuild. Like Bill Belichick is younger than Pete Carroll.
Well, I mean, you can tell by the way Pete, I don't even know if Pete can see now. I think he needs to wear his readers all the time.
And he doesn't want to do a rebuild, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Because Seattle probably could use it. And it's tough to do when you have a quarterback. Because, by the way, as a Bears fan, I can say this.
Yeah.
It's tough to find quarterbacks, apparently. Hopefully not anymore because of Justin Fields. But in any event, okay, so good. So the first three picks are okay. You could have gone with a different receiver other than AJ Brown. That's fine. I'm not going to take offense to that.
It's okay. It's not bad.
When I brought you on to the show, you said I got lucky with Darrell Henderson, meaning that he's not going to be available in the fourth round when I'm choosing in a couple of weeks, or
I mean that I think that you got lucky because taking him in the fourth, had there not been an injury that preceded him before this conversation, I don't know how relevant he would have been.
Oh.
So now your second running back is a little. Now you're in a good place. But this is good. But now I'm in the good place. Now I like it. I'm just saying, had the injury not happened that we don't speak
I wouldn't have taken it. I'm pretty sure this draft happened after the Cam Akers thing. Because I can't imagine taking
I don't know. I don't know I didn't know. I thought usually we're doing them from a while ago. So this is cool. I think it's that pick is great. Then it gets sketchy at running back.
Then it gets sketchy. Okay. So we'll skip over Darrell Henderson. Everybody likes that pick. Except for Bellissimo, who thinks Darrell Henderson is meh. You know what? I feel that everybody's going to go with who is it? Austin Johnson and all the other guys.
I don't know about that.
The white guy from Maryland. What's his last name? Funk or whatever it is.
Yeah,
so everybody's going to go with Austin. They're going to go with the white guy from Maryland or whatever. And Darrell Henderson's going to end up ruling. Here's my thing. Darrell Henderson was going to have a big role in this offense. I think that people had just willed Cam Akers to a third or second round pick. And we're just assuming that based on what happened in the playoffs last year, that he was just going to continue it. But you had to realize Darrell Henderson wasn't playing in those weeks where Cam Akers was really good. So Darrell Henderson
wasn't an Akers person, though, were you? Because I was not. I was not very high on Akers.
I was. People were starting to sway me. I don't know. Sometimes
me too. That's what was happening. I was
like, it's fine. I'll do a shot of Fireball. Just shut up.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Fine, I'll take Akers. And it happened. I did that. Finally, I did a trade. And I had an awesome trade. I got Swift, McLaurin in a second for Akers. And then, or something, whatever it was. And then, I don't know.
I remember, and I'm old enough to remember when I was like, they should get James Robinson now. And people were like, dude, Cam Akers is coming back next year. I'm like, without an Achilles. which is
You guys forget history, obviously. You should read a book on Achilles injuries.
oh man. By the way, I don't even want to get into that. All right, Deontay Johnson, dumb pick. All right, not only like I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you this too. Wait.
I like Claypool better, though. I will say it, and I got roasted for that the other night, and I don't care.
You should. And well, let me. You know what? Here's the thing. Here's a couple of reasons why I went Tilty McTilterson, because the picks immediately in front of this one were David Montgomery, DJ Moore, and CeeDee Lamb, and you're like, what do I do now? I was, I don't know, maybe I could have taken Jamar Chase.
So can I be honest?
Yeah, be honest.
I just hate the Steelers. I do not believe, like, I think they're going to be fraudulent again. Like, don't tell me they're making a playoff run. They're not.
Oh, they're not.
They're not doing it. I just think that, like, Big Ben can go on, like, the paleo diet. He can do whatever diet he wants, and I'm still not going to buy into this. I think Najee will have a great year because they're going to have to find a way to use him, and that's the type of player that he is. I think he could fit into any scheme that doesn't have a running back one there. But I'm not buying into the Steelers. And don't forget, Juju is still not a bad player. Like, they still have ways to spread the ball there. And I just don't love it. I don't like the situation there. Big Ben's old, man. Like,
yeah, it's a terrible idea. And just to give you a sense, in addition to Chase Claypool, Cooper Kupp went after him. And I'm like, I'm fine not drafting Cooper Kupp.
I don't like Cooper Kupp at all.
Tyler Lockett. Although, as it's pointed out here, Brian Schottenheimer is no longer the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, which is very true. Schottenheimer is gone, but I think the style of football that Pete Carroll wants to play is not gone. And this goes back to his time at USC, where he's going to be a guy who wants to throw the football an awful lot. Run the football an awful lot, which is why I would trust Chris Carson more than a lot of people. The offensive line, of course, is not great. So some of the receivers I didn't take, in addition, Chase Claypool, Cooper, which is fine, Tyler Lockett, maybe. Brandon Ayuk, I should have thought about this a little bit more. T. Higgins is gone. And, you know, the more I go into this, and I like Jamar Chase, and what happened to Small? Did you fall off?
I fell off. Yeah.
Did I remove you? Okay.
No, it was me. I hit something.
It's okay.
And then
You're back. It's fine. It's fine.
I was getting, worked up about the Cooper Kupp talk.
The Cooper Kupp. How dare he? But you know what? I feel like T. Higgins. I'm kind of into T. Higgins. And I really wish if I would have known that Joe Burrow was going to be my quarterback. And again, in the 5th round with the quarterback, you know, this is another problem that I had too, is that I know I'm not taking Ben Roethlisberger. So why would I even bother taking Deontay Johnson? Because now that I have a 3rd wide receiver, that's usually where I kind of like to stack. Like, I'll stack my 3rd receiver. Let's do a little Cooper Kupp, Bobby Trees, who was gone, Robert Woods, Matthew Stafford, T. Higgins. I don't know how I got away from this, because it is something that I like to do. And I know what quarterbacks I'm targeting in rounds 10 and 11. So I could have been like, I don't know why I missed out. So did you say that you like T. Higgins as well?
I love T. Higgins. I know that everyone loves Boyd, and I understand that, but I don't. And I think that Higgins and Chase, like, I've been stacking Burrow, Higgins, Chase like crazy anywhere I can. I don't know why. I can't get enough.
Because they're entertaining and they're good? Like,
I think that it's fun.
Like, I think it's going to be a fun team. Like, their uniforms are like, okay, like, I think this is going to be an entertaining team. I don't know. They change. Here's my thing. It's like when somebody is, I don't know, where you have like an old beater car or no, like you buy like whatever, like instead of like doing a complete remodel, they try to just like paint something. It's like when you watch Bar Rescue. Like some of these bars are like demo the shit. Like just tear the bar down.
Yes, I love Bar Rescue. This. I can't believe you said that.
Oh, Taffer's my guy. Like I love Taffer.
Of course you do.
Like Taffer is my dude, and I understand, how TV production works, and you've got 3 days. So you go in and you make some paint touch-ups. It looks good on TV, and then you go into these bars and you're like, "Oh, what is happening?" And I went into a place. I used to do so many comedy shows at places that were John Taffer rebuilds. The Canyon Inn in Yorba Linda,
Really?
the power plant, the dugout, like all these. I'm like, oh my God, and it became a thing. Like, I can't believe, like, I'm doing a tour of bar rescue places. And
Accidentally.
I don't know that John Taffer would have suggested that I come in here for an open mic, because this is probably not what he had in mind. There was a place, maybe. There was a place in Fullerton that he redid, and finally they just tore it down. Like, yeah, we tried.
We tried. It was a nice rescue, but it didn't rescue long enough, quick enough there.
No. And these owners, I don't know. I fall for it every time. I love it that they're doing. Anyways, I think the Bengals uniforms should have been one where they did a total rebuild. Like, you're close, but let's just start over. Let's just give this another shot.
Yeah, I agree. The Bengals, what's crazy is like 3 years ago, like I used to forget the Bengals were a team. Like they have suddenly like been a part of, like, thank you for joining the NFL. Like it took you guys a while. Like now you're actually involved.
Now you're being silly. They're like Lainey Boggs once she took off the glasses. Although I just referenced a movie you've never heard of.
Yeah, but I see how I do that. I played it off. It's good.
You know what? There is nothing. I appreciate so much how many of these references that there's no way you could get them. And yet you just stick through. You're like, I don't know who Lainey Boggs is, but I'm laughing because it seems funny. Actually, it works in both ways.
I'll look it up afterwards. Like I'll write it down and then look it up so I can be like I want to be part of the joke next time. Like, when Michael Scott is like, inside jokes, I'd love to be a part of them one time. Like that's how I feel every time you say something.
I love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one day. That is a great line. By the way, anyway, fine, Burlissimo. Kyle Pitts.
Burlissimo. Yes. This is
Kyle Pitts.
He would have been
Pitts is
gone,
like
I feel like now.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are full of bluster. And they talk a good game. They're like, I'll take Kyle Pitts. Jeez. And all of a sudden, like it's the guy who nicknamed himself Lady Killer and is going to the bar like, oh, I'd take that girl home with me. Yeah, and then he goes home alone. I think a lot of people are drafting the same way. Like, hey, I'll take Kyle Pitts all day, bro. And then they get in the draft room. They're like, I'm going to take Odell here or whatever it is.
Yeah. I feel like Kyle Pitts, I even think that, first of all, I haven't done a live redraft yet. I just started doing them. I've only done like 2 drafts. And I feel like I need to keep in mind that Kyle Pitts is not going as high as everyone's acting like, because I probably would shoot for him a little bit higher when I think I can chill out, because getting him in the 6 is nice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I'm with you. You don't have to go talk to him at 6 o'clock. He'll still be around at 9 p.m. I honestly, and again, like, I understand that, and I think we might have talked about this before as well. The tight end position is difficult to master on the NFL level for a lot of reasons. One of them being that they have to learn everything that an offensive lineman learns and everything a wide receiver learns. I don't really believe the Falcons are going to be counting on him to be a hand on the ground blocker. They still have Hayden Hurst. Like, you're not going to have to worry about that. Go run your routes, brother. Like, that's all you got to do. And I think Kyle Pitts comes in there as a not like a knockoff version of Julio, but he's like the Topo Chica. He's like the Topo Chica seltzer, hard seltzer. It's just different.
They're just going to go back to having 2 wide receiver ones like they had before. Like, it's just going to be Ridley and Julio, but maybe a little bit spicier of a Julio that plays every game. Like, I feel like that's the only difference. I feel like the person that benefits is like Russell Gage more than anything. But I love Kyle Pitts here. I don't think everyone's so nervous about the target share here. And what they
Yeah.
forget is Matt Ryan is so consistent. Like, he's a very consistent quarterback when it comes to fantasy. You know what you're getting out of him. And I feel like the targets Ridley is going to do phenomenal next year. But I think this offense is going to be great. Their defense blows is their
Yeah,
problem.
which is perfect.
But they're great for fantasy.
Yeah, their defense was terrible, and they got rid of their good players that were
Yeah,
like
I don't know what the plan was there.
Keanu, you're too good for this defense. We'll let you go. It's
Yeah,
like when
we want to make it crappier.
it's like listening to the story of Matthew Perry where he almost didn't get to do Friends because he was locked into some terrible pilot. But thankfully somebody had the wherewithal to be like, bro, they're wasting you in this pilot. We'll let you go do Friends. I think that's what happened with Keanu Neal. They're like, oh, we're sorry. Yeah, like you're too good. Like, oh, we don't need to waste you here.
Yeah.
You go on your way.
We feel bad.
So Kyle Pitts seemed to be okay. Everybody seems to be in on Kyle Pitts. What about Javonte Williams? Bellissimo said earlier that he'll outperform Darrell Henderson, and to which I say, good, that's fine. But I'm just going in there with the appropriate price, and it's realizing that Javonte Williams is available in the 7th round, and I think that he's the guy that you need to target.
Yeah, I think with Gamewell, like, here's my kind of how I feel. I'm starting to notice with rookies, and this is like a new thing that I used to do, like not used to do, it was like past 2 years. It's like every 2 rookies, you kind of get 1 player. So I feel like between Gamewell and Williams, you're going to get 1 running back. Okay. So I'm okay with it because I think one of them you can get something out of, whether that's a week-to-week basis. So it might be a little bit of a headache. But let's be serious. I think that Williams, it might take a couple weeks for him to get started, but I could see him being the main guy over there.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be roasting you is the problem, but like I don't know what to say because it's like
I'm sorry that I'm too good at this. I should just find one of these. No, you're like, no, you're not too good at this. Like,
you're not. Except I like the picks. I don't know. I don't know who is a rat. You know, you have to. But I think between the two, so basically you have 1 player there. Between Williams and Gamewell, you have 1 player. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel. And somebody is asking, who is this year's Antonio Gibson? I think Javonte Williams probably projects more to being like this year's Jonathan Taylor, where last year a lot of people were nervous. They got Marlon Mack there. They have Naheem Hines. And it wasn't until the end of the season that Jonathan Taylor really came on. And I could see the same thing happening with Javonte Williams this year, where Melvin Gordon has a good first month of the seasons, perhaps the first 6 weeks of the season, and then it kind of turns around, and then Javonte Williams finishes strong. But it still allows the trolls the opportunity to come in for 6 weeks, tell me that I'm a clown, and then disappear once he starts playing.
People also forget with running backs, like, if you're like, you can afford, like, as long as your roster looks a certain way, you can afford for one of your running backs to not do well for 6 weeks. That's fine. It's more about what they do at the end of the season. Like, and that's why I keep trying to tell everyone with Saquon too. Like, even if he doesn't perform that well the first 4 weeks, if he's getting you like 30 plus points at the end of the season there, you're still in a good place. But I think that they're going to try to force Gordon into the playbook a lot in the beginning. Because it's very like Broncos-y, and I think that they don't really know who the quarterback is going to be. We don't really know what the situation, like the offensive scheme over there is a little creepy. Like, I don't like know what's going on. They're like, Locke is doing so good.
It's creepy. All right.
It's creepy. Like, I'm just not into it. I need a little bit more consistency out of that. I just don't know what to expect, I guess, because Locke, we've only got 18 games out of. It's really hard to like really evaluate him. He played like crap those 18 games.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he couldn't turn a corner. We've seen guys do it before.
Yes, but with the Broncos, I don't know.
It's true. I'm trying to be optimistic for them, you know.
No, I appreciate you. No. You're a good person trying to make everybody
their
feel
secondary's good.
They're deep. Yeah, they're deep. Like, oh my gosh, they've got a lot of nice corners. Like, they have a nice defensive secondary.
I really love their secondary. That's all I
can
say.
Huge.
You know, when you try to compliment people, it's like the person you don't want to talk to at the party, and you're like trying to find, oh my God, I love your purse. Like,
that's usually me. That's usually like, well, but he's, you know, he's on TV, so can you just entertain him for a second? Like, okay, hey everybody, here's me. just sitting here flapping my gum.
Yeah.
I'm the one. Like the phrase I hear the most at the at parties and stuff like that is like, "Well, it was nice talking to you. I've got to go now."
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
You're talking too much. I didn't actually want to involve in that like much conversation with you.
yeah. They're like, "Hey, can you simmer down?" Because I can't stop because I'll end up being like
Yeah.
nervous. And unless there's like a buffet table that I can sit there, because I'd rather just sit there and shovel
Yes.
chips and salsa into my mouth.
Right. Guac.
Otherwise I got to talk. Like I got to talk
Yeah.
to people. I was telling you, I think before the show started, like I got to talk to people. I'm in a pool at a resort. Like I just got to talk. Like I'm compelled to talk. Like you're just
like
trying to sit there. Yeah. They're just trying to have a good time. And I'm like, hey, where are you from? No, I'm not actually. No,
Yeah.
to be honest, I won't start the conversations a lot of times, most of the
Me
time.
neither.
But once you do, you're like, you don't know what you did.
Yeah.
You don't know what you did because I'm
Now
like,
it
what?
unleash the beast. Like now I have to come the conversation.
Like, oh, you're from Harbor City. Do you know Petros? Like, I've got like a story for everything.
Everything.
I went to college with a guy from Harbor City. Oh yeah, one time we were funny enough, we were whitewater rafting, and this person's like, why did I talk to this man? I don't know what I was thinking. Which is what a lot of people are probably doing because Berlissimo is like, why?
True.
I want to talk about James Conner is probably what he wants to know.
Yeah.
James Conner again. This is the thing. This is
You're drafting a lot of my guys. Is the issue here?
This is like being attentive. You know what? And
Yeah.
this is a rule for everybody. You want to be attentive. Like if you were, if you're friends with somebody and they're like, hey, whatever it is, just like like if your friend is like, I like sour straws, like I love sour straws and not Sour Patch Kids. When it's their birthday, you show up with sour straws. You don't show up with Sour Patch Kids. And I feel like sometimes when I'm in a place where I don't know who to pick, I've now spent enough time with you to be like, well, I know she likes James Conner. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that is that?
It's really funny because it's true. Like, I really respect people that draft James Conner. Like, I find that I think that like I admire you. And I think that you're a good person if you do that because I think that James Conner is one of the most overlooked talents in this entire league. And I understand everyone wants to talk about Evans. Stop trying to make Evans a thing. He's not a thing. I'm sorry. And I love that for everyone that thinks so. But I think that James Conner, especially in the 8th round, he is going to have, with everything they've added, having Evans and Conner. I'm not saying Evans is going to be bad. I just don't think that he's going to be a like super fantasy relevant. Is he going to have his weeks? Probably. It's Edmonds. Like it's not going to impress me. That reminds me of that song. That don't impress me much. But I think that adding Rondell Moore, adding you have AJ Green, Christian Kirk, and then having the rushing upside that is Kyler. I think you can make sure that Conner stays healthy, and a healthy Conner is beautiful. Like he's a really good running back, a really good talent. So this pick I love, obviously.
Of course,
You're
that's like
sucking up a little bit. But.
A little bit. We're at a bar. I walked up and ordered you a White Claw. Like I know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I guess that was probably the best example I could have used.
Yeah, and then you also got me as a sucker in the next 2 picks too, which is funny.
Jalen Waddle? What?
Yeah.
You like Jalen Waddle? I didn't know this.
And
Marvin Jones Jr.?
I do. I like both of them. You knew Marvin Jones, but
I knew all 3 of these.
A little early for him.
Who? Marvin Jones? A touch.
No.
A touch. Yeah, that was a little bit. But it was
you really got excited there. Like
I really need to impress Stephanie, so I got to make sure.
Well, in all fairness, Marvin Jones he finishes like wide receiver 19 like every year, and like everyone just ignores him. Like he's like not a bad. He gets 9 touchdowns every year. Like he does the same thing. He's still a good talent. It's a little early for him, but that's fine. Waddle, I think Fuller is proving that he's not going to be able to stay healthy.
Oh yeah.
What it comes down to with Waddle and what makes me not like Miami as much as I don't believe in Tua as much as everyone else does, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But So we've got to get the ball to Waddle. If we can get the ball to Waddle and Waddle can keep his ankle healthy, then this is beautiful. In the 9th round, this could be he could finish easily as a wide receiver too, like without a doubt.
100%. Yeah, I agree with all that. And anytime you get an opportunity to not have to take Will Fuller, but you're still taking a gamble with Will Fuller type upside, which is what I think Jalen Waddle is. I think that's a perfect way to go. I like that little stretch right there. Round 11 is where I typically go with the quarterback du jour. We've talked about, again, Matthew Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, guys like that. Joe Burrow, we talked earlier about how much we like this Bengals offense, so it only stands to reason that we would like Joe Burrow, correct?
Yes. It's funny because I like fake wrote notes like on the plane, kind of.
What?
And I didn't really like write notes. I only did it on a couple players. And one was Joe Burrow. And like, so we've been doing this a couple weeks. And I wrote, this would have been the draft to take another quarterback. Because most of these, some of them you would take a second quarterback. So it's surprising me that you didn't take a second quarterback with Joe Burrow. So I'm cool with Joe Burrow, but I maybe would have taken like a shot in the dark there. Maybe not taken Marshall or Sterling Shepard.
Of course not. Well, why wouldn't I? But again, just trying to curry favor with you.
Right.
I took Sterling Shepard instead of being like, I'll take Trevor Lawrence here.
Well, people are crazy not to take Sterling Shepard, but we'll get to him at 15.
Yes. But Kenneth Gainwell, you kind of touched on him and Javonte Williams, platoon to be a good player. What do you think about Terrace Marshall, though? Because
I don't know.
I think that he has a lot of ability. And I think that he has a chance to break out. And again, it wasn't anything that you would see on tape that had him fall in the NFL draft. It was more about availability. But when you base it on ability, if I'm in the 13th round, I feel like it would be silly not to take a chance on him.
I would like to know who was around at this point, because Terrace Marshall, I'm having a hard time. Like, if this was a dynasty draft, I would be all in on this pick. I just don't know if you're going to get anything out of him this year, really.
Do you want Jeff Wilson? Do you want Shuba Howard, Le'Veon Bell, Boston Scott, Darrell Williams?
Boston Scott, I can make an argument for.
I know you like Boston Scott.
I like him. I don't care.
I took Gainwell, so
like was Kadarius Toney around? Like, I probably would take a pick maybe more on him than Marshall.
Well, you could have
not because I think he's better, but because I think he'll get more volume.
Yeah, Rondale Moore was available, so
okay. Well, so now I'm upset with you.
Right, that's fair. That's
maybe my least favorite pick I think we found, but that took until round 13.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Listen, it's okay. It's a shot in the dark. Rondale Moore, understandable. Gerald,
but again,
Everett.
At this point, like, I feel like in redraft, what a lot of people forget is by like the 10th round, like, you should just be like going for upside at that point, because none of these guys are like starting for you consistently, right? Like, at least by like round 12, like, you might as well go for some serious upside. And I think that's what you did there, which I shouldn't make excuses for you. I would have taken Rondale Moore for sure.
No. I get it. It's a du jour of available players. I mean, Rondale Moore is, of course, going to be. Rondale Moore might actually have a better path because he's really just competing against DeAndre Hopkins for targets.
Exactly.
But he has Kyler Murray, who could be taking touchdowns when they get near the goal line. And
then you have maybe a functional Connor too in the mix. Yes. Yeah.
And with Terrace Marshall, I mean, obviously, not only the wide receiver position with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, but they have this guy, God, what was his name again? Oh, yeah, Christian McCaffrey. So, all right. Fair enough. All right. This is why we do these. Listen, fine, you were able to roast me. Okay, terrible pick.
I did it, finally. But the next two picks speak to my heart, so it's okay.
Deontay Johnson, I know you didn't like. Terrace Marshall, you didn't like. Jonnu Smith, though, again, this is a pick that I know that you absolutely love. And I think that when you take Kyle Pitts, that as much as we believe he's going to go out there and have a tremendous season with the Atlanta Falcons, it still behooves you to have a backup tight end just in case. And by the way, Art Soto, this This was a 12-team league, and this is pick 104. But yeah, Jonnu, we love him, right? Like, why again?
14th round, beautiful, chef's kiss. Come on. I think Mac not. I'm starting to get a little. I don't want to say wishy-washy because I love Jonnu, and I think regardless of the quarterback, I think Mac being able will definitely hurt his value a little bit, but that's only in the sense that we're expecting the wide receivers to do something. And Henry and Jonnu are also two of the better receiving tight ends that are in the league. And I think everyone has a bad taste in their mouth for Jonnu. He still finishes, like he finished last season again, like Ingram was tight end 14. He was tight end 15. Like he still does well. And I think every week that Cam plays, give me Jonnu. Like, I think that we're going to see him just absolutely eat. I think that people are, I don't know why everyone's so in on Hunter Henry. Like, what about Hunter Henry excites everyone? I need to know.
Yeah. It's been a thing that everybody's been talking about for so long that you just don't want to let it go. And Hunter Henry, you know, I don't know if it was because, you know, a lot of people made Triple H jokes when he came into the league, like, oh, Triple H, what's his middle name? Is it H, please? Or whatever it is. And he just became kind of a favorite. And it was one of those things, too. He took over for Antonio Gates. So people immediately thought he was going to come over and take over the Antonio Gates role and give that kind of production. He battled injuries seemingly every year he was in a Chargers uniform. And even last year, when Justin Herbert was breaking out, I don't particularly remember Hunter Henry being this player that you had to have on your roster. So at some point, going to a different team, going to New England, where they're not going to use him enough, and that team's probably going to run the ball more than anything, I think you're better off just saying goodbye to Hunter Henry. Just let it go.
He's another one I'm breaking up with. Just break up with him. Like, you'll feel better. You'll sleep better at night.
You got to go.
But you're in a good place. I think tight end, like, at least like Kyle Pitts too. He has a bye week. I feel like you can be so comfortable putting Jonnu in.
Yeah, I wouldn't even hesitate it. And if I did a little bit more research, I could be like, oh, Falcons bye week. The Patriots have this team who've allowed this many points to tight ends.
I don't go that deep. It's very serious.
I didn't either. I know. I should be better at my job. Like, I don't know what else I was doing.
You're coming off vacation. It's fine.
Will I spend 4 hours on the practice range hitting golf balls? I will. But will I go look up the Falcons bye week? No, that seems like a little too much work. No. By the way,
like I got through Scott Fish Bowl, and then I was like, holy crap, everyone has a bye week, 7 and 14. I should probably figure that out.
Oh, my God. You know what? I honestly, I just don't care about the bye weeks. It's one of the things that I just don't care. That never factors into me.
What? People are like, I shit the bed for 4 weeks, 3 weeks, fine. I don't care. Even
like preferably, I would rather have it just be 1 week. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna have 1 week where I know it's gonna be bad and I'm preparing for it. It's like if you live in Connecticut, you're like, the winters suck. I'm just gonna deal with it. Not like out here. Like, because out here, you know, if you're so meticulous about it, like, that's why Californians, like, anytime the weather changes, like, nobody can function. And it's also a product. And I love that people are like, well,
moving. I can't.
California drivers, they're the worst. I'm like, you know, everybody in California is from somewhere else. So it's a hodgepodge of different disciplines. Right. That's why the drivers seem terrible. Because you have New Yorkers driving with people from Wyoming, and they just don't mix. And so that is a problem. And so,
Arizona, people from Arizona can't drive. Like, they're really bad.
Arizona, but again, it's the same problem because people from Chicago, because Arizona's huge with former Chicago people to the point they had to open a Portillo's there. And, well, I mean, like, just spend a Chicago winter, and then you'll completely understand. Well, what am I saying?
I mean, I'm trying to move. I literally am.
Oh, my God. You went to U of A. By the way, I saw somebody at the pool the other day walking around in a U of A shirt. I'm like, oh my God, my friend went there. I didn't talk to him. But if they would have, bear it
down, we stole your
But if they would have, if I would have been close enough. You know what there was? I will tell you this though. There was a kid who was jumping in line for the water slide. You know, I tell my daughter, like, listen, let's chill out. My daughter and the 2 girls I adopted for the afternoon, And they're getting put out. And I'm like, my daughter's 6 and these other 2 girls, I don't know, had to be like 5 and 4, maybe 5 and 3. And by the way, where is their parent? Like I would not dream of letting my child go on this water slide solo. Like she's a good swimmer too. These kids were wearing floaties and you just let them run amok. And then there's somebody like me.
Yikes.
Irresponsible. And then this guy, thankfully, and by the way, anytime I'm at the pool or anything like that, completely sober, I will tell you though, at 10 o'clock when it's 94 degrees in Palm Desert, that first beer of the day that I'm cracking is the greatest beer that I've ever had in my life.
Oh, I believe it, especially after being on water slide duty. Are you kidding?
But in any event, this kid had to be like 12 or 13 or whatever, had frosted hair. And at some point he was sitting there cutting the line and I had to say something. And I'm like, hey, Fred Durst, how about you just don't cut the line one time? Nobody understood the reference, and I don't care.
Well, they're like 5.
I think there was one parent who kind of laughed because they're like, I think the parent was also being perturbed with these kids just like jumping the line. And so when I called them out, all you got to do is call these punks out because it's not a big enough of a deal to like, and you don't know how large their parents are. So you don't want to be
that you have to be
whatever.
Careful. You know whose dad is who. Like
there was because you could see the pool, and there was a couple of guys who were built like Triple H out in the pool, and I'm like, as long as it's not this guy's kid, I should be okay.
Right.
But at the same time, I had to call him out.
No one's paying attention anyway. It's just you.
Yeah, just me.
You're on dad duty for everyone.
I know. The parents are out there like it's drinking Trulies. And I'm doing whatever, and not even White Claw, like just drinking Trulies.
Rude.
Like they're maniacs.
That's how you know who they are.
Oh my God! Like it's a problem where I live too. Like there's a pool in our community.
Truly drinking idiots.
They all drink Truly. They all go out there like it's Wet Republic, in Las Vegas. I end up watching like 30 kids.
I spent a lot of time there.
Did you? Okay. I'm at the Cal. With a California downtown, drinking in a pool that's about 8 by 10, just having a time of my life by myself. A couple of Asian gamblers come up, or they're usually Hawaiian, hang out. We have a good time, and then
once you finish dad duty for the entire neighborhood.
Once dad duty's over, then that's when it gets lit. I will say this though.
Oh my God.
To round out this draft, I guess we should finish. Sterling Shepard.
This is beautiful. This is a
Sterling
beautiful
Shepard.
pick.
Why do people not like Sterling Shepard?
Why do people think that Slayton is going to be the guy and not Shepard? Like Shepard's the wide receiver 2. Joe Judge made a point to call Shepard before the Tony pick and say, "We're about to pick Kadarius Toney. Yeah. You are the wide receiver 2. He is not taking your spot." You know who they didn't call? They didn't call Darius Slayton, who had a 52.1% completion rate, had the second most drops on the team with the second most targets, and lost 11 points for the team. Yeah. Slayton is screwed next year. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Shepard's value is beautiful because the thing is, you know what the thing is with Sterling Shepard? He's a wide receiver 2. And for his entire career, he's been treated like a wide receiver. He's not a wide receiver 1. Like, he can't be treated that way because he's going to get hurt. So I think this might be Shepard. Shepard's actually coming off of one of his better years. He just didn't get as many targets because Ingram and Slayton were eating them up. Mm-hmm. But I think that Shepard, his completion rate was beautiful. Like, the highest it's been since has been in the league. And I think that Shepard's in for a good year. He's going to be like a beautiful flex option once we figure out how they're going to use that offense over there.
Love it. Although we have to rely on episode. We have to rely on episode 9.
We're leaving him alone, though.
Oh my gosh.
I'm starting to get nervous, though, to be honest. I'm starting to get nervous.
Jason Garrett's there. You're fine.
Today is the first day that I started getting nervous about Daniel Jones. Ever.
Oh boy.
Well, I was nervous. I wasn't in on him last season, which I maybe should have, because he had like one of the most rookie touch. Did you see that? I think I retweeted.
He was great.
He went off his first season. Very impressive. But I really need Saquon to be there. Saquon's going to be the deciding factor, I think, for Daniel Jones.
That is the thing. Like, we got the research packet, and they
Mm-hmm.
put in these notes, and they're like, hey, like we got to highlight this. The Giants'
True.
offense is better with Saquon Barkley. You're like, holy shit! Like, what? Thank you.
No way. Are you
Thank you.
sure?
Thank you for
He's only
taking the
had
time.
26 starts and 11 have only been with Saquon. That's like nothing.
Yeah.
That's 42.8, 42 point. I don't know. I dropped out of med school, so my math isn't great anymore.
Yeah, what was your I don't know. It feels like we need to delve into that topic. I don't know if we went into it enough.
I don't think we did. We just kept like laughing about it. I'm just gonna have you back on, I think, because the people love it.
Oh, let's do it again. Yeah, let's
We should do it again soon. We will.
'Cause I've got a lot because I really feel like I was holding back today too for a lot of vacation stuff I could have gone in on. But I didn't want to because I wanted to get through. I thought we got through. You know what? Like, honestly, I know we
did an hour. That's impressive. We were talking a lot.
We upset Berlissimo and we have these
Sorry.
tangents or whatever. I feel like there was a lot of truth being spoken here, and I think I did a better job of telling you which players I passed over and some of the mistakes that I made. Deontay Johnson. Let me actually we'll
I got way more
take this
information, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I was just better prepared, I guess, which is weird because I was coming off
It
vacation.
was awesome. How fun.
Vacation, which is like 3 days. That's my whole vacation.
I took like notes and stuff.
Love it. Beautiful.
Now I get to look up who Lady Boys and
By the way,
Britt are.
Dr. Britt Baker. You'll love her. By the way, when you see me on NFL Network being like beautiful, oh, it's a beautiful pick. It's going to be because of you.
I can't wait.
Totally. No. I'm going to pick that up.
I was telling my friends when I got here, I'm like, yeah, like Adam Rake.
They're like, nope. Never heard of him. Nobody's heard of me.
Just like going
Stop
on like his Monday show, and it's like not a big deal. And they're like, okay, liar. And then no one talked about it again. I was like, okay.
Liar. Like, that would be like, why would you lie about that of all things?
Like, you guys can check.
Like, go on his YouTube page. Like, you can see right now. Like,
so my friends think I'm a liar.
Listen, Stephanie Small's friends. Stop doubting her. First of all, it's a believable lie. Like, it's not even like that's not one that you should question. You know, if you're like, hey, I was hanging out with Dave Grohl on the plane down here and he was buying me drinks. All right, that's sketchy. Although that sounds that sounds in character. That actually sounds in character of Dave Grohl. That's a bad example. I would have to think of like a real. You're like, I was hanging out with Jesus
Daniel
Christ.
Jones. Like, that's a lie.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Yeah. Why can't I think of the guy who was the star of Justified, who was in The Office?
Which who in The Office?
Jesus Christ. The guy who was he's in Go. Like, I'm going to start naming all the movies you've never seen.
And I'm literally writing them down because I really do look this stuff up after.
Timothy Oliphant. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me?
Dude,
Timothy Oliphant.
get it together. Okay, Vacation Guy, like, chill out.
Oh my gosh, wait, I gotta get us back.
Tommy Bahama.
Tommy Bahama here. Timothy Oliphant. I remember one time when Michael Scott was leaving The Office, I'm like, they should bring in Timothy Oliphant. And then Timothy Oliphant shows up on The Office. And I'm like, I had no knowledge of this whatsoever. Yeah. But like, if you were like, hey, I'm going to go, I got to call Timothy Oliphant right now. Your friends could be like, nah, you're not doing that. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Adam Rank, super believable. That would be a sad lie.
His name's probably fake too.
Yeah. People still think that. Like, what is your real last name?
Yeah. I mean.
But but in any event.
Sounds fake.
Oh my God, it sounds so made up. Yeah, I can't convince some people, and that's fine. And I can't convince some people that I actually make good draft picks. You, apparently I can, but to some people I cannot.
Yeah, somehow.
Nobody's ever satisfied, or everybody thinks I'm a clown.
It's
Whatever
fun that these are closer to ADP though now, you know, that you're doing them like closer. Because before we were doing them from like, you know, before the Cold War. And now it's like, at least it's a little bit more.
A little bit more knowledge here. A little bit more knowledge. But in any event, I do want to thank you. I know that you're having a good time down there in Florida, and you took the opportunity to come on and once again converse with me. But excuse me, appreciate it. And by the way, where can everybody find you? Where can they find Smalls? Because I'm sure,
Sure.
first of all, everybody who's here is probably here because you're here.
No, they're not. They're here because you're here.
No.
You can find me. This is my favorite dad joke I've been working on. You can find me on your timeline, and if you want to find me directly, you can find me at Stephanie Smalls with 3 L's. All my work is at FTN, and then with Adam on Mondays when he invites me on. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for everybody who hung out in the chat. And then, you know what? That's it. But thank you. Until next week, we'll see you then. Bye.
Catch ya.
Oh, wait. And my broadcast is